And once again, with the applause. Unfortunately, though, it's really only the Democrat side of the House that's standing. Over and over again throughout the speech, there were many standing ovations for the different points that Obama brought up, but very rarely did you ever see any of the Republicans stand up. So now is the time to get healthcare reform, but they clearly don't want to play.
Some of people's concerns have grown out of bogus claims spread by those whose only agenda is to kill reform at any cost. The best example is the claim, made not just by radio and cable talk show hosts, but by prominent politicians, that we plan to set up panels of bureaucrats with the power to kill off senior citizens. Now, such a charge would be laughable if it weren't so cynical and irresponsible. It is a lie, plain and simple.
Yes, it is a lie, plain and simple. Thank you. I think the only thing that could have made me happier than that statement would have been, it is a lie and you should be ashamed for spreading it. Okay. I was totally stoked when he just stepped up and approached these things and called them out. Very, very happy about it. Now, speaking of lying, there was one scandalous moment when he was debunking the next myth.
There are also those who claim that our reform efforts would ensure illegal immigrants. This, too, is false. The reforms I'm proposing would not apply to those who are here illegally. It's not true.
Now, I'm not sure if you could hear it. To some people, it just sounded like Obama was being booed. However, in the background, twice, there was a person screaming, "You lie." Now, that was Representative Joe Wilson. From the different reports I've heard, there has never been an outburst like this during a presidential address to Congress. His future seems a little uncertain. His opponent that's going to be running against him in next year, in 2010, used last night's event as a fundraising opportunity and raised $400,000 last night from lots of different people. They did a little web campaign kind of deal. Now, that aside, he's already last night after the speech, he apologized via phone and in writing to the White House, and he's been thoroughly castigated by both Republicans and Democrats. So it was an ugly little moment. It shouldn't have happened, but I think everyone has responded to it correctly in that calling for his apology, and he apologized, etc. So I think we should just ignore it and move on. So Obama continued and had some tough words for the asshats who are trying to kill reform simply based on principle.
Now, this is the plan I'm proposing. It's a plan that incorporates ideas from many of the people in this room tonight, Democrats and Republicans. And I will continue to seek common ground in the weeks ahead. If you come to me with a serious set of proposals, I will be there to listen. My door is always open. But know this, I will not waste time with those who have made the calculation that it's better politics to kill this plan than to improve it. I won't stand by while the special interests use the same old tactics to keep things exactly the way they are. If you misrepresent what's in this plan, we will call you out. And I will not accept the status quo as a solution. Not this time. Not now.
Yes, I seriously want to see this. And I don't want vague statements either. I want Obama to stand up during the White House press briefing and say something like, yesterday Senator Whackjob told his constituents that health care reform is going to require that dingoes eat your babies. Okay, this is a lie and Senator Whackjob should be ashamed of himself. I'm serious. I want to see it. Okay. Now, near the end of the speech, he talked about Ted Kennedy and Kennedy's lifelong pursuit of universal health care. This section of the speech is what I like to call the "I'm going to punch you in the face" section of the speech.
For some of Ted Kennedy's critics, his brand of liberalism represented an affront to American liberty. In their minds, his passion for universal health care was nothing more than a passion for big government. But those of us who knew Teddy and worked with him here, people of both parties, know that what drove him was something more. His friend Orrin Hatch, he knows that. They worked together to provide children with health insurance. His friend John McCain knows that. They worked together on a patient's Bill of Rights. His friend Chuck Grassley knows that. They worked together to provide health care to children with disabilities.
Now, on the surface, this doesn't seem extreme, but President Obama called out these specific people, Orrin Hatch, John McCain, Chuck Grassley, because within days of Kennedy's death, these senators had gone on political talk shows and said stupid things about Ted Kennedy, saying, like, trying to convince Democrats that they should compromise on health care, or perhaps they were just trying to convince America that the Democrats were being unreasonable. And they used Ted Kennedy as an example, saying, well, if Ted Kennedy were still alive, he would compromise with us. He'd be willing to work with us. And the problem is that it's totally not true. No one was as fierce a proponent of universal health care as Ted Kennedy was in Congress. I mean, he had been fighting for it for decades, and he would not be pushed on that issue. Everyone had to have universal health care. I mean, in his own words, in like the death letters that he wrote, just before he died, he said that it was the fight of his life, and that was the goal that he needed to get. So, in my opinion, this was Obama sort of calling them on the carpet in a very subtle way for those who are paying attention, saying, like, stop it. That's not okay. It's not true. One of the greatest quotes of the speech was when Obama was talking about how Ted Kennedy felt about the issue of health care.
He never forgot the sheer terror and helplessness that any parent feels when a child is badly sick. And he was able to imagine what it must be like for those without insurance. What it'd be like to have to say to a wife or a child or an aging parent, there is something that could make you better, but I just can't afford it.
And so that's the central point of this whole healthcare reform movement: compassion. Do we have the compassion to take care of our fellow Americans? I'll leave you with the end of Obama's speech.
I understand how difficult this healthcare debate has been. I know that many in this country are deeply skeptical that government is looking out for them. I understand that the politically safe move would be to kick the can further down the road, to defer reform one more year, or one more election, or one more term. But that is not what this moment calls for. That's not what we came here to do. We did not come to fear the future. We came here to shape it. I still believe we can act, even when it's hard. I still believe that we can act when it's hard. I still believe we can replace acrimony with civility and gridlock with progress. I still believe we can do great things, and that here and now we will meet history's test, because that's who we are. That is our calling. That is our character. Thank you. God bless you. And may God bless the United States of America. Thank you.